try to take this video, make it short, and I'm going to replace a video that I have. It's a little bit lengthy, I think. So anyway, this is how to remove a flywheel from a Yamaha FXHO. You could do this for the VX110, the FX140, pretty much any any Yamaha jet ski, I would say, anyway, 4-stroke. So first thing you want to do is remove every single one of these. There's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them there. Those are Allen head screws, and those are 6mm head. So remove all those. Next thing, you've got this 14mm nut here. In order to take this off, you're going to have to stop your flywheel from turning. So what I did, I took just a wood block. I took a couple bolts that fit down into the holes. So I did basically catty corner. I went from like here to here on the second cylinder. Actually, that's the third cylinder technically. So just jump across from here to here, which bang, bango. And then underneath here, I'll show you what I put in there, which is a little bit jury-rigged, but it worked out really good just to stop the piston from coming up in this cylinder. So these are M10 1.25 thread pitch bolts. If I had to guess, these came off of probably oil reservoir on the back of the FXHO, so you can borrow a couple of those temporarily. I guess they're 3.5 inches long or so, 3.5 inches. So what I did is just shoved a shop glove right down on top of there, nice soft landing. And I happen to have just this. If you have something wider, even plastic, if you got a piece of PVC, like a PVC coupler, works really well for this too. You don't even need this glove in there if you got soft PVC in there. Anyway, shove something in there that'll fit, and then your board goes on top, bang, and that will stop this piston from being able to travel all the way up flush with the cylinder head, or the underside of the cylinder head, thereby stopping the counterclockwise rotation. So that's all I did. Now take your, once you break this free, I used an impact. You'll need a breaker bar or an impact wrench and driver, whatever. And break it free and just turn it out a little ways. Turn it out, I mean, this is a long bolt, so just turn it out, say like maybe a 1/4 of an inch or something like that. Let's start there. Next, we got our Harbor Freight Tools, or any version, Pittsburgh tool bolt type wheel puller set. Item number, so it's pretty old, so they probably have a different item number, 62620. These are components that we're going to need. We've got the actual puller, we've got a driver dowel, and go. It's got a hollow tip on there that we're going to put this guy, and just that's what we're going to set up to push against that bolt after we secure 3 bolts, 1, 2, and 3, into those holes that these came out of. So I took a couple bolts. I believe these came out of the exhaust manifold on a VX or probably an FXHO more likely. These are M8 1.25 thread pitch bolts in about, I'd say this has got to be 5.5, 6 inches long here. All right, now, so in order to slide those bolts in, you see that the hole is filled back there. Watch when we turn the gear. And there we go. We got a hole match. Whoops, that's not a hole match up. There's a hole match up. So we're matching up, get the holes in the back, see them? And that's the only way you're going to be able to thread those M8 bolts into there. That's what try just the one-handed. So I turned each of these bolts in. Basically, you're threading it into this section here. This is the part that has the female threads. 10 full rotations, if that helps. I mean 10, 15, anything basically. And now you're turning this one so that the end here is centered on your bolt. Make sure you got a little slack here. Make sure there's a little space. That's going to be important, because what you're doing is you're cranking this guy down tight, and then what are you doing? You're banging on the end here. These are opposing pressure against this part, so it's trying to pull this thing off the desk key is what it's doing. You'll see that in a second. So one little complication that I'm finding is, as I'm tightening this to try to put opposing pressure, it's wanting to spin this flywheel bolt. So I'm going to put this crescent on that. If I can get it to seat. I'm going to have to find a thinner. There we go. All right, so I'm going to put that crescent there. And it'll, when I rotate it, it'll get trapped against here basically as I put some torque on there. All right, so we're all set up here. Get my torque wrench, my breaker bar in here. I would just use my impact personally, but for this purpose, since this is a tool mainly people are going to have, or a big long ratchet or wrench, that'll work fine actually. All right, and then also I had to put back my wood block so that it keeps the pistons from rotating. So I've got this one in play. Let's see, it should stop in a second. That's rotating around and it hits a stopper. And I got to do this with two hands. It's going to be impossible without this motor flopping over on me. So let me set up this camera. High probability of this camera falling over during this filming, so I apologize in advance. Brace something in there to hold it. Alright, so let's give this a shot. So I just want to put a little bit of torque on this thing, not a lot. It might even pop off. So as you're cranking this, that's putting that opposing pressure, so watch out because this whole thing is going to want to fall down. I got a rubber floor here, but I don't want to lose this thing and have to deal with everything falling on the ground, possibly hurting it. So I'm going to put my wrist right here and hold down on the block. We'll hold this assembly here and give it a little bit, tighten it up a little bit. And then now this is when you actually hit the end here to see if you have enough, torque on that bolt. Bang, go with a hammer and the thing pops off. So I usually need to do this like 2 or 3 times, torque it down, hit it with a hammer, get a good grip on there in case it all pops off. Okay. Let's keep holding that in case it pops off. Sorry. Get grip on it. Usually right about now is when it pops. Good grip on it. All right, put a little bit more mustard on there, I guess. You see everything's holding in place. That's because that 2x4 up there, of course. Oh, it's like nerve-wracking doing this a little bit. Now this time she got to pop off. Feel it. Very surprised. This is why I use my impact tool. A lot quicker, a lot easier. It's gotta be enough. Wow, that bugger is tight. Let's see. Think of anything that's impinging here. This operation, anything that's screwing it up. No, it looks good. Let's see. I'm gonna throw my impact on there. I don't like using that thing if I don't have to. I'll put my 14. It's a 14 mil, by the way. All right. There it is. All right. Yeah, I like that better. So that. What I should have done is turn this bolt out a little bit further. Bring that out a full like 1/2 inch, the actual flywheel bolt when you do this. You know what I forgot? By having that flywheel bolt on there, there is no risk of this thing falling off because the bolt is holding in place. I completely forgot about that and spaced it. Everything else is going to want to fall off behind it. One shop note of caution here. When you pull this guy off, there's a couple things inside there. There's a desk key which locks this flywheel onto the actual crankshaft. There's a key right here. It's like a kind of a half moon shaped piece. Make sure you don't lose that guy. That's how you're going to lock your flywheel on. This is the other part to note. There's this clutch bearing here. I'm going to pull that one off. Ooh, everything else wants to follow up behind it. So let me do this so I can show you. Keep that stuff oriented correctly, as well as this clutch gear. And then you're going to have this thing slide out, and that's your starter gear and a dowel. So that's all that's in there is a starter gear dowel. Goes in a hole upper left. That has to go on. Then this goes on in that order. So here's the important part. On this bearing itself, it sits on the clutch gear, and it's really hard to kind of get it to seat in there. You'll be kind of confused and like, maybe I have it oriented the wrong way. Anyway, this is the correct orientation as you're facing the motor. You cannot push that bearing through. The bearing has to come out towards you. And it has this lip. It's kind of this little metal lip that extends past it to hold itself in. So don't get ass backwards on that when you're doing this. The shop manual is a little bit on the, maybe a little on the confusing side. It's talking about like as you're holding the wheel, you can turn the wheel. I think it's like turn the wheel clockwise. If it turns clockwise, it's good. But if it doesn't turn that way, you're counterclockwise, you're good. So here, the first time I did this, I was turning this counterclockwise, and I thought, oh shit, that's wrong. And I tried turning it clockwise, and it wasn't doing anything. So I actually reversed this. And the consequence is that your starter is just not going to engage. That's all that the negative consequence is. But what it's talking about in the service manual is this section right here. That's the part that you want to be turning clockwise. It will not turn the other way. So that's just a shot note for you. Hope that helps somebody in the future. Good luck with your project.